Hey vinyl friends and vinyl community, it's Brian from Brian's Vinyl Records, and I'm here to do my Vinyl Tag 2020. This is the first vinyl tag I've ever done, so something I've seen going around. It seemed like it was a fun idea, so here we go. This is Vinyl Tag 2020. First question, best find of 2019, and I'm going to have to go with this guy. This is Steel Hearts Tangled in Rains. It's one of my favorite albums from the 90s era. And I was on the hunt for this for a long time. So if you've watched my Grail in the Mail video, you know that this was imported from Germany, and that is one of the first pressings that was ever done, was German pressing, and one of the only pressings. The other was a South Korean, which isn't the same album. It's got only half of the songs on it. So to get the German press was huge for me, and so this is my find of 2019. Favorite album of 2019, Tyler Childers' Country Squire. Absolutely fantastic album, awesome country music, and just a killer songwriter. So, Country Squire. Novelty Record. I'm going to go with NKOTB's Dirty Dog. This is a single, 12-inch single from their, I believe it was called Face the Music album that was ill-fated. Their time had passed by the time this came out, and they were trying to do something a little different, more hip-hop oriented stuff instead of their pop classic stuff. They got rid of Maurice, who wrote most of their songs anyway, and this is what came out. I just remember when this first came out, on the video played on one of those Friday night videos, things that were on our local, at that time I believe it was UPN channel, and seeing this and thinking, wow, that's a totally different, New Kids on the Block. And then I found this years later in a dollar bin, had to pick it up. Next one, Homage cover pays homage to another artist. So I didn't know how to interpret this one, whether we're supposed to have an album cover that paid homage to another album cover, or just a cover song. So I don't have anything for this because I didn't know how to interpret it. But next one is B-side Deep Cut, and I'm going with the AC/DC Money Talks single, and the B-side to that is a song called Borrowed Time, which was never released on an album but is a pretty good song. What I remember mostly about this song is that in the bowling alley that we were at in our small town, they had the AC/DC Money Talk single in the jukebox, and you could listen to the B-side on there. So we would always play that because it was the only way we could hear that song at the time. Next, something funky. I went with this. This is Prince's Art Official Age. A fun album. This is from, I believe, 2014. And just a really good Prince album, a lot funkier than some of his 90s stuff was. So he kind of gets back into that range with this album. Great album. Next question. Weird Shelf Buddies. I don't really have Weird Shelf Buddies because all of my albums are sorted by genre and then by artist, band, artist last name or band name. So all of them kind of go together on the shelves. So I didn't really have anything for that one either. So not really anything to show for Shelf Buddies. I Was There, band I've seen. Michael Jackson Bad. I was on... This is my first ever concert as a kid. I was about 10 years old, and my dad took me to see Michael Jackson on the Bad tour. Absolutely blew my mind, and have been a major Michael Jackson fan ever since that time. All right. Wish I had an OG copy, but have a repress. So I don't really look at OG versus repress on anything. I just want the album to sound good on vinyl. So if the repress sounds better, in a lot of cases sometimes they do, I would prefer to have that. If I stumble across an OG, sure, I might grab it if the price is right. But I'm not really hunting original presses. But there is one album that I'd like to have an early press of, and that's this one. This is AC/DC's Back in Black. And this is the 2003 remaster version. And I really want an 80s press, or pre-2003 remaster press of this album, and the reason is I've heard it sounds better than the remaster version. Now on the wall back here you will see, where is it? Right here. That is an 80s press of AC/DC Back in Black. Unfortunately, it has a massive lip warp, and that causes it to be unplayable on the turntable. So I thought I had it, only to find out I didn't. So that was a real bummer. A discography, you own all the major releases of the artist. That would be Blackberry Smoke, one of my absolute favorite artists. In fact, my favorite artist of the last decade for sure. Probably my second favorite artist of all time behind AC/DC. Love these guys. Have every single album they've put out on vinyl, and also some of their EPs as well. Only missing one, I believe, and that is they did a cover of the song Pearl, which I believe was an Allman Brothers song, and put that out on a kind of 10-inch, and I just don't have that one yet. So that's the one I'm looking for. All right, unique center label. So I went with Prince. This is a really cool lenticular cover, and this is this album Planet Earth. And a lot of the Prince reissues that have been coming out have custom labels. This one has a label on each side of the Planet Earth. So I thought that was kind of cool. All right, Preband album or band that featured someone who went on to be famous. I think these guys did pretty well for themselves, but a lot of us in this day and age don't really know who they are. This is Elf. They were a 70s kind of a rock band who was starting to get into that hard rock era as they went on tour with Deep Purple and signed with their label. But the person in here who became famous is the metal god himself. That is Ronnie James Dio, folks. He was the lead singer in this. This is nothing like Ronnie James Dio that we know. He is singing rock music, and it is awesome. So this is Carolina County Ball by Elf. Absolutely fantastic album. Like I said, they toured with Deep Purple and got signed to their label. So this is on Purple vinyl and on the Deep Purple label. Very good stuff. So up next, a musical book or movie that you would recommend. I got two books here that I think are pretty cool. This one is called Take a Walk on the Dark Side. So this has a bunch of different songs. Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones, Devil Went Down to Georgia, Buddy Holly's Curse, different things like that, where kind of odd things about songs and different things in rock music. So this is really cool. This is by R. Gary Patterson. So Take a Walk on the Dark Side. Really cool book. And the other one I wanted to share is this one. I haven't completed this one yet, but it is one I'm trying to work through. This is Laurel Canyon, the inside story of rock and roll's legendary neighborhood. So this is kind of a cool, I love that color. It's really neat cover. So that one's cool too. This is by Michael Walker. All right, underrated album. I'm pulling this one out here. This is Gilby Clarke's Pawn Shop Guitars. If you don't know Gilby Clarke was the guitarist that replaced Izzy Stradlin in the Guns N' Roses band in the 90s. He was the replacement when Izzy decided he didn't want to tour anymore and left the band. So great album. This came out in 94. Right after, the Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion tours had wrapped up and they were recording the Spaghetti Incident, and so he put out a solo album, and it's absolutely fantastic. This is an MOV pressing of the album, which I believe is still available for sale, and highly recommend it if you can get a copy of it. All right, batting average artist who consistently puts out good albums. I gotta go with my boys again, Blackberry Smoke. I don't think they've released a bad album yet. I couldn't think of one. They're all absolutely fantastic, one after another. This is their second to last release called Like an Arrow, and it is, like I said, phenomenal. So Blackberry Smoke. Same album, different covers. I'm going to go with Paul McCartney's Ram. This is the cover everybody knows of Paul McCartney's Ram. And in 2012, they released a mono pressing and put it on a plain white cover with Ram Mono written in the top, and then this sticker was on the cellophane when you bought it, so I peeled that off and put it on the album itself. Otherwise, it is a very inconspicuous album with white label, and on this side you see the word Ram and a catalog number, and that is it. So we got Paul McCartney's Ram, two different versions of that. All right, favorite drummer. Album you bought cheap, but is worth money now. I thought this was kind of crazy. This is an album that I picked up from Rat Pack Records. It was reissued. They put it out on CD only before and decided to reissue it, and that is John Corabi's One Night in Nashville. This is a great album. This is basically he and his band played the whole 1994 Motley Crue self-titled album that he was the lead singer on. It's the only album not to feature Vince Neil on vocals, and so he and his band went out on tour and did the whole album song by song, front to back, and this is a recording they did in Nashville for it, and it's absolutely fantastic. Rat Pack Records did an absolutely phenomenal job putting this package together. There's a signed photo in here of John Corabi and a bunch of other stuff. Just great packaging all around, and just love it. This album, when it came out, was, I believe, $40 to purchase, so it wasn't cheap, but now you can't, the median price on Discogs is $150, so pretty cool to have. And I have one other one that I thought was cool. This is Brandon Lee and The Crow. This is the Crow soundtrack, not Brandon Lee, the motion picture soundtrack. This was the Record Store Day reissue that they put out last year, and I picked it up. I think this one went for around $38 to buy, and its median price on Discogs is now $100, so super excited to have that in my collection. Albums turning 20. Oh, first, favorite drummer. Well, this was a hard one. I don't know, but I went with something different here. My favorite drummer of all time has to be my cousin Jim, who is no longer with us, unfortunately. He passed away in 2012, but I did get to capture his drumming on two of my personal solo albums. The first one is my first release. This is a 6-pack and a bottle of life. This is a second issue of this. I went back and re-recorded everything with him the weekend before he took his own life. So this is very special for me because I got to spend a Saturday with him tracking the drums for this album before he left us untimely. So this is a 6-pack and a bottle of life, my solo album. And before that, I released this one in 2011, and we retracked it in 2012. In 2012, I also put out this album. This is called Something We All Wish We Knew, which was the first album he tracked drums for with me. I went over to his house, and we took a 16-track recorder and laid down all the drums for this album, so I'm real proud of that. So if you're interested in this, it's Brian Bartholow, Something We All Wish We Knew, and Brian Bartholow, a 6-pack and a bottle of life. These are available on all streaming services. That said, I decided to pick another one that people might know, and I went with Vinnie Paul of Pantera and Hell Yeah fame. So that is my other drummer that I'm going to pick. Absolutely fantastic drummer. Album that turns 20. I've got a couple here. First up, we got Britney Spears, Oops, I Did It Again, turning 20 in 2020. How cool is that? Then you got Pearl Jam's Binaural. I don't even know how you pronounce that, but I think it's Binaural. Album, a really good album from Pearl Jam, turns 20 this year. And lastly, we have Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory turns 20 this year. So this was cool. I picked this up for $5 on Amazon one time. Just a real good album. All right, a trilogy of 3 solid albums back to back to back. I went again with Pearl Jam. They started with 10, followed that up with Versus, which I think is my favorite of their albums, and then followed that up with Vitology, which is absolutely fantastic album as well. So Pearl Jam's first 3 albums, I think they are 3 albums back to back to back that probably can't be beat by anyone. So that's my take here on Vinyl Tag 2020. I hope you enjoyed my selections from the questions that were laid out to us. And if you're interested, I will leave the questions below in the comments, and you can take part. Vinyl Tag 2020 is the topic. If you like the episode, please give me a thumbs up. That really helps. Give it a like, and if you want to, please do leave a comment below. I love interacting with everybody here. If you're new to the channel and enjoyed what you saw, please hit that subscribe button. Love to have you along for the ride. Thank you for watching, and once again, keep spinning, vinyl friends.